Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Chess Comedy Books 15, in which we take a light-hearted look at the mysterious and serious world of chess via mostly publications and things. Today I want to talk about a correspondent of mine, Gary Lane. Gary flits about the world in the way that quite a lot of people don't. Particularly in the chess world, he comes and goes from Australia to Devon and from Devon to Australia. I think his mum still lives in Devon, and he is married to Brian Jones's daughter, Nancy, and they are out in Australia. They've been there for several years, and obviously Gary has also gone out there. I've got some information about him here. He won't welcome this, but I'm going to read it out, or bits of it. His name is Gary William Lane. He's a professional player and author. We'll come on to his books in a second. He won the Commonwealth Championships. He's married to Nancy Jones, who is a woman international master. And they moved to Australia, and he won the championship in 2004. He's represented Australia in, it says 3 Olympiads. Wikipedia might not be right, but I think it might be 3. And he did beat, in the Olympiad, he did beat Nigel Short in a French. He has also won an international tournament in Fiji. Well, it must be nice for his complexion. There's nothing nicer. Now, what I'm trying to do is put together a collection of Gary's books. I haven't got as quarter as many as I thought I had. Basically, looking at this list, one if it's more recent, I'll show you these. And I'll put the list down below, as I always do. Prepare to Attack. This is a slightly unusual topic and deals with preparatory work before storming the Royal Fortress. In other words, getting your big guns out and putting them on the right squares. Very great deal more to it than that, of course. Looking at the index here, being Gary, he sometimes sneaks in games from fairly modest events, I would say. Games here by Hodgson, Gligerich. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By somebody called G. Lane. So how about that? One by Lawrence Trent, another by G. Lane. So that's 7. Well, that's very good. Looking through the book, it's double columned. There we are. Double columned. And that's a game I put in my book I wrote about P.H. Clarke, who also had a strong Devon connection. This is a game of Gary's from Paignton, 1996. Paignton has been, I think it is the longest serving and still in existence, as much as anything is at the moment, chess congress in Britain. I don't mean the internationals like Hastings, but basically one of the problems that it's had is that it lost its venue, and its venue was absolutely lovely. Here's its venue. Isn't that brilliant? Looks like a stately home. And the book is called 60 Years in the Same Room. Sounds positively insanitary. A History of Paignton Chess Congress by Robert H. Jones. Well, Robert H. Jones, I'd like to thank you for writing a very friendly and interesting book. It could have done with a little better editing, but for all of that, there's 3 or 4 games by Gary in here, including the one I've just referred to against the former British champion, co-British champion, Alan Phillips. And of course, my one claim to fame is that Alan was a musician above all else. Probably he would have counted that as more important than his chess. And when he died, they had a funeral, it may have been a memorial service, to him at Dartington Hall near Totnes. And my cousin Sue did the flowers. Sue Kellam did the flowers. So there's something you didn't know. This has got 3 or 4 games by Gary in it. Let's just have a look through. Here he is, the man himself. This is in the Oldsway mansion. He looks suitably debonair, I think is the word. If there's anything else. No. Has a lot of information about the Congress, including pictures of here's Gary as a little boy in the audience. Can you see his hair sort of looks like? There he is. It's not the Milky Bar Kid. It's at the 1975 prize giving. And Ken Bloodworth, very well known West of England, likeable old guy, scribbling down the winners. And also in the picture, the Bruces, Mr. and Mrs. Ron and Rowena Bruce. There's quite a little collection of chess people down in the west of England. There we have it. If you're interested in this book, it might still be available from Mr. Jones. I'll put the contact details down below in case you want to investigate. Now, here's a book I haven't spoken about before. Oh, yes, I have. I just mentioned it just now. Now, here's another book. Winning with the Scotch. Now, the Scotch was a sort of third rate, not because it was bad, but because it was very mild, and probably there's lots of ways that black can equalize. Before Kasparov stuck his oar in, and after that, no one can see why, it wasn't runner-up to the Ruy Lopez in terms of E4, E5. I actually don't think it is, but Gary wrote a book. Oh, it hasn't got an index. Gary wrote a book about the Scotch, and here it is, published by Batsford some years back. The Scotch derives its name from a correspondence game played between 1826 and 1828. I think actually that London, Scotland was black in it. I'm not sure. Perhaps the black player moved first or something. London played the first few moves of the opening, but then branched off into a gambit line, as if they recaptured on d4, it might be known as the English instead of the Scotch. That's typical of Gary, to have a lighter touch and just put in a little whimsy. Mentions about the Steinitz, queen h4, which wins a pawn, but sometimes loses a position, I'm afraid. Various classical treatments with G3, 7G3. I'm just reading out what it says here, actually. I didn't know that. Didn't know that at all. Or the Scotch 4 Knights, beloved of my friend, the late Ron Harmon. And there's, just to make me out to be truthful, there's the game between, or one of the games, between Kasparov and Karpov. Karpov always willingly played E4 against E5, did that when he was a lad, and he continued throughout his career at the very top. We don't hear much about Karpov recently, which is a shame, but the game is harshly competitive, and I can understand there's other calls on his time. Now, here's a book I couldn't find. Went to quite some lengths to look for it, and finally it did turn up. I've got lots and lots of books about the French, 25. It says, the French defence is a perennial favourite of all temperaments, basically a solid opening. The French also provides ample opportunities for those who aspire to create havoc by annihilating White's pawn centre. Next time I'm black, I'll have to try and remember that. Here's a picture of Gary again, just in case you didn't remember what he looked like. Looking, once again, suitably debonair. The book, which is published by Batsford, is in algebraic figurines, and I'm just looking to see. It deals with the advanced variation. That's all it deals with. Actually, it doesn't actually make that clear in the title, does it? So everything that's dealt with is E4, E6, D4, D5, E5. Well, if you're going to do that, why the hell didn't you say so? I'm just being picky, probably. And there's no index. There's index of variations, but not index of players. I think there should be both, but there we are. There we are. Well worth reading, of course it is. It was written in 1994 and typeset by, are you ready for this, John Nunn? So I bet he knew what he was doing. Now, Blackmar-Diemer Gambit is obviously more popular in places where Blackmar and Diemer are remembered. And Diemer, the society, they go out to Diemer's grave. He died quite some years ago. And they get pinters and they shout out the notation for his gambit. And they're all standing around like loonies around his grave. I can't help thinking that you yourself, gentle listener, special viewer, that you are, I bet you wouldn't do that. I contacted them and asked them what they thought about this book when it first came out. And they said that is probably the best modern book on the Blackmar-Diemer. And Gary is probably one of the strongest players to have written a book about this system. It is an interesting attacking, albeit second-rate. I've played it and beaten good players, and I mean that, I have, but I've also lost some terrible games with it. If you like Gambit play, and you're playing someone that perhaps isn't that strong, or that you would probably, by normal means, beat, give up a central pawn for mobilization. It may very well be, if you favour kingside attacks, if you yourself consider to be an attacking player, this could be the book for you. It has 11 chapters, some of them with Rider Gambit, Zweigler defense, Teichmann defense, Tartar, Covert, Gundoran defense. These are long words for what amounts to quite involved play. And Gary is right on it. I don't imagine he wrote this book in 5 minutes. Look at that for complexity. Look at that for chapter and verse. He's done well. He's done well. And this is a Batsford as well, quite some years ago. And when I was playing this system, I don't play it at the moment, I referred to it often and it enjoyed looking through it very much. Written in 1995. So there we go. I looked on Wikipedia for books by Gary, and he's written The Bishop's Opening, The Clothed Sicilian, The Rui Lopez for the Tournament Player, Winning with the French, which I think is that one. Oh no, that's Beating the French. Winning with the Fischer Sozin Attack, Bishop C4 against the Open Sicilian, Blackmar-Diemer, I've shown you that, Guide to Attacking Chess, the Grand Prix Attack, Victory in the Opening. Those are a collection of miniatures. I've definitely seen that book and I definitely recommend that one. The Vienna Game, The Ultimate Collet, The Ultimate Closed Sicilian, Ideas Behind the Modern Chess Openings. That's nothing to do with the book by Reuben Fine. I've read that one. I haven't got it at the moment, but I have read it The Bishop's Opening, I didn't like that at all. It seemed to have lines in it which weren't even anything to do with the Bishop's Opening, not directly. Find the Checkmate, I haven't got that. Playing Chess is published by Mud Puddle Books. If that isn't a joke, and Gary himself will help me out here. I know him to be a good-humoured chap. I don't know what he is. Ideas behind the chess openings for black. I'm not sure that isn't the one I read. The Scotch, I've just looked at that. The Ruy Lopez Explained. Improve your chess in 7 days. I've got that, but it's in my bedroom at the moment, and I forgot to bring it through. The Greatest Chess Tricks Ever. Sharpen your chess tactics in 7 days. Prepare to Attack. Well, we looked at Prepare to Attack. And Gary Lane's Chess Puzzle Book. So it's all good stuff, and he's written very many books. Now, these are written between 1990 and 2013. Well, if he hasn't written a book in the last 8 years, I'd be surprised. But to be honest, I don't know. Once again, Gary, help me out. This has been Chess Comedy Books 15. Thank you for your time. I'm James Pratt, and you're not.